What's good, family? We back again. You know what time it is. It's your main man, Dr. Life, in the business of saving lives. We save lives because we first responders. We're supernatural first responders, responding to man-made disasters, unnatural, man-made disasters that our people should dominate, and should destroy, or because they get deceived, the disasters take them. And then we spring into action. And so today, I'm gonna give y'all a disclaimer. This is called the Hollywood Havillah Bar disclaimer. Hollywood is something that can be tested and tried in the fire. And when it goes through the test and trial, it's going to come out and be the result of purified, and when it's the word, it's purified truth on the other side. Hollywood, that's what Hollywood means. Something tested and tried in the fire and comes out purified. A Havillah bar is spoken word. When the Creator said, "Let there be light," that's a Havillah bar. When he said, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I will repay," that is a future guaranteed, put it on the calendar, date on the, mark it off, it's going down. It's going to happen. A Havillah bar is a future stated, it will happen event, spoken word. And so with the fake, phony individuals out here who fake and try and represent us, they try and act as if they spit and act like an MC makes you hip hop. Just because you state you an MC, it has nothing to do with hip hop. They say master of ceremonies, they say mic controller. An MC means masterpiece creator. That's what an MC is. Because the original MC, spoken word, let there be light. And he breathed into at man's nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. That became the soundtrack for humanity. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. Life. Let there be light, let there be life. Havillah bars. So the disclaimer is this. Humanity. It is a myth and a deception that we are divided amongst continents, amongst different ethno groups, different whatever. Yes, people have gotten scattered to the four winds of earth, but when you trace the history of humanity back to the beginning, humanity comes from one collective root without an S. There is never a plural when you're dealing with the kingdom. It's one kingdom. It's one King of Kings, one Lord of Lords. It's not Alex Haley's roots. That ain't your root. So, when I am speaking, my disclaimer is we are in the process of putting humanity's one universal root back together, and it includes every single nation, kindred, tongue, and person that came out of the root. Now, when you are ignorant and when you are blind and when you have become deceived and you buy into whatever mythological, fake, phony narratives, and then you choose to align yourself with the lost cause narratives of those who cannot prove anything that they claim. They can't prove a Big Bang Theory. They cannot prove evolution. They cannot prove men came from tadpoles and Sally and everything that they claim. They can't prove any of it. They just have repeated it more than God's people are willing to stand up and say, yo, and call them on it. So when I am talking about the system that has created this alternative narrative that has trapped our people. I'm never speaking about individuals, because I've already stated that everybody has come from the root. So everybody is family. Now, if the family members are blind, and if the family members are determined to be deceived and determined to buy into the false narrative, then whatever happens to you in the process of us carrying out our God-given commands to provide, to protect, to train up children in the way that they should go, to give our brides the desires of their hearts, whatever happens to you as a poacher, as a deceived counterpart, as a rival, when you place yourself on another sideline, when you place yourself in the wrong camp, whatever happens when we execute the commands to restore and rebuild our homes, when we execute the commands to stand in the gap and be gatekeepers and defend and protect, that's a choice you've made that has nothing to do with me doing my divine God-given right. And when I state what I state to my children and my bride and my family members about the system, if you have bought into that system and you take it personally, and then you choose to do whatever you do based off of me identifying a system that's aimed at destroying the family and the children and the wife and the... I've already told you we all came from the same family. I've already told you nobody is supposed to be on the other sideline. The only people who's supposed to be on the other sideline are the 1/3 that got cast out in the beginning. But if you choose to put on that uniform, one other thing I'm going to say. If you go back 4 generations in our time, your fathers, your grandfathers, your great-grandfathers, and your great-great-grandfathers, the average lifespan in the United States of America is like 72 years, 75 years. So if you stack 75 years 4 times, you still only got 300 years. So we talk about 1600s. We literally talk about 1600s. And so most people have identified with these different groups, these different folds. And most people identify with the fold that they've been trained to come up in. But over 2,000 years ago, a king said, "It is finished." The king stretched out and said, "It is finished, Joe. It's done. It's a wrap. It's over with." Every single thing for everybody who's coming after I say it is finished until I come back to take my people home, everything has been laid out. The playbook is finished. So this is the last thing I'm going to say to y'all, and then I'm going to tell y'all about an ICO launch, the Havillah coin. If anything you do and learn from me, you need to change your damn perspective. on what you're looking at. You need to change your damn perspective. Your dimensional perspective. You've been taught to look at the world in 3 dimensions. 3D. And 3D is incomplete. The kingdom was built on a cornerstone. It said the cornerstone that the builders rejected. The cornerstone has 4 dimensions. The builders who have built an alternative system, an alternative Western everything, education, everything. The system that the builders have built this system on, he told you, the cornerstone that the builders rejected has become a death sentence for those same builders. So he's telling you, yo, they're going to reject me. I'm the cornerstone, and they're going to reject the cornerstone, and they're going to build another system, and they're going to get y'all to identify and buy into the alternative system. But I told you, vengeance is mine. I will repay. What is that word? Repay. My people will cash out. I told you the last shall be first and the first shall be last. My people will have the final payday. I'm here to tell y'all about the final payday. I'm just trying to get my people to stop identifying with the losing squad, because we will not lose. We do not apply this incorrectly. This is simply a playbook. And to tell you the truth, this is simply a confession. This is simply a confession on the losing sideline of the plays and the strategies that they will use from the time he said it is finished till when he finishes it for real. This is the playbook. This is the losing side's playbook. Now, some of y'all might be confused. The reason I say it's the losing side's playbook is because, listen, there was another Bible called the Geneva Bible. And there was a convention in Geneva also called the Geneva Convention, where they claim that they came up with the rules of engagement for war. There is no coincidence that there was a Geneva Bible before King James Bible, and that the Geneva Convention where they established the rules of engagement. So when they go to war, when these nations claim they go on a war against each other, they claim to adhere to the rules of engagement that were laid out in the Geneva Convention. I'm trying to tell you that the barriers and the lines and the Satan and you and your team can go this far and no further. The official rules were laid out. The actual story, they was never ever even going to give you a book. Rome was never even going to give you a book. And King James only wrote this to be able to control the narrative. That's why I said this is the confession. So there was a whole nother dude in England. His name was Melanchthon. And it was these reformers breaking out of the Catholic Church all over. In Germany, they had in France, they had these groups called the Waldenses. In France, they had this group called the Huguenots. In every last one of these countries in Europe, people was waking up and like, yo. But this particular group in England, they sat down and they, listen, when Martin Luther went into the thing and got the Bible in Latin and read it for himself, he had a crew that sat down and wrote it in German. Because the people didn't speak Latin. But Rome had all of the Bibles in Latin. This is the 1500s, y'all. I'm coming up to that 300-year mark. Well, I told y'all. So it's in the 1600s where Rome, 1611, King James. So you got all of these other individuals who not controlled by Rome, not controlled by nothing. They just seeing the holes in the lies and the myths that Rome been telling, and they jumped up and like, yo, boo, 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 here. So now the people, for the first time in their lives, for the first time in 10 generations, 15 generations, for the first time in 15 generations, they have really heard what the word says. Had nothing to do with Rome, had nothing to do with no denominations. Can none of y'all denominations claim that movement? It was only Rome then. And cats who was running away from Rome sat down and like, man, I'm going to give my countrymen direct access. We're going to cut out the middleman. And this is all our movement is. We cutting out the middleman and we're going right back to our people. And listen, I'm going to tell y'all this. Each and every household was designed to be a kingdom within itself. Directly connected, husband, king, wife, queen, children, prince and princesses, each and every house. Each and every household. There was never ever supposed to be the separate individual king and citizens. You a citizen, you a slave. And when Israel told the prophet, give us a king like all the other nations. Give us a king like all the other nations. That is when your whole system of existence switched from having direct access to every home and every family, being a royal sovereign entity, as long as you are walking and connected in the covenant that the King of Kings gave to you. And as long as you and your kingdom, that's why it says, a stranger that's within thy gates. Yo, can't nobody come within my gates and disrupt the sovereign order within my kingdom and my borders. And the more I stand on my kingdom covenant, the larger and the larger and the larger that he expands the borders of my realm and my territory. That is how he functions with his lion prides. The stronger the lion is, the greater the expanse of the territory that the lion controls. If he not stronger than the lion that's next to him, then his border is going to be only a couple miles. If he is super strong, cat's like, yo, don't go over there, yo. You know that's the King of Kings lion over there. It's the same. Listen, it didn't mean that they don't have no territory. And this is what the word said about Job. Job was the greatest of the kings in the east. Specifically, just like that. Greatest of the kings of the east. So there were many kings, many lions. They had their lioness, the queen, and the offspring is the pride within that king's realm. And however strong that king and that lioness is determines how wide their territory is. That is the blueprint. That is why the King of Kings identified as the lion from the tribe of Judah. Now it has financial ramifications throughout eternity, because he said, I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. But when you ignorantly, like the Hebrews did, choose, because you see Babylon doing something different. You see Egypt doing something different. You see Europe doing something different. You see whoever, Spain, Portugal, you see them doing. And then you come to God, your king, who is blessing you, and say, give us a king like all the other nations. And he told them right there, listen, Samuel was mad. Samuel was like, nah, we're going to be subjugated. God said, listen, man, they're not talking against you. They have not rejected you. They rejected me. Give them what they want, but let them know the king is going to, they will be downtrodden just like the rest of the nations. And then here we are 3,000, 4,000 years later, and they teach you, oh yeah, you're a citizen of the U.S. You don't even have a king, and you have a president that acknowledges a crown in England. Your queen is in England. What? And your king is in Rome. And so we simply say to the world, that has never been our system, that will never ever be our system. Uncle Sam, the U.S., all of that, listen, this is our promised land. They did not bring us here on boats. From the time that David was building, collecting materials to build the temple in Jerusalem, when Solomon was a little baby, David hired the Phoenicians, the Nubian Phoenicians, who controlled the kingdom of Tyre, the kingdom of Phoenicia, the kingdom of Carthage, present day North Africa, which is Libya, Syria, all North Africa with that is on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. Those were Phoenician kingdoms. And the Mediterranean Sea was simply the port that they used to launch expeditions all over the world. It wasn't even a European nation at the time. It wasn't even listen, man, all over the world. From that time till when 1500s, 1600s, then Europe finally figures out, by getting some of the descendants of the Phoenicians to show them how to sail across the Atlantic, then they want to come here and claim that they enslaved our people. So when I tell y'all these narratives, it's simply that we have not bought the lie, yo. They can't stop, like with hip hop. They tell y'all that hip hop started in the Bronx in 1974. But then they made the mistake of attaching it to the Zulu nation. Afrika Bambaataa in the Zulu nation. And then when you go and look at the Zulu nation, and you trace the roots of the musical heritage of the Zulu nation, you see that same British that changed New York from Dutch Netherlands to New York was the ones who was in South Africa, who was invading Zululand and Swaziland, poisoning Zulu king after Zulu king, bringing them under subjugation. And the reason that they gave the rappers that they wanted to use to mold a new identity, that particular nation, is because that's the nation, that's the name that they gave that nation when they brought them under subjugation. That wasn't the name of them people before British went down in there. Before the British came down in there, what was that tribe called before they named them Zulus? That's the thing y'all don't understand. They give you a new history with a new brand and a new label of subjugation. Then they write textbooks to tell that story and that narrative to erase your true history and give you the history that they want you to follow. And all we trying to do is say, listen, man, if we get back to the principles, if we get back to the original principles, nature has to respond to the kings and queens the way God's creation has to respond to his children. It's automatic. But when you acknowledge a fake, phony system that is meant to subjugate you, all you can get out of it is subjugation. And you wonder why, no matter what, nowhere we go on the earth, people can't get ahead. That's because everybody is under a fake, phony system. And yes, they've used names and attached themselves supposedly to these gospels. We got one allegiance. We got one cross to bear. So nobody is confused about a hidden agenda.
For everybody that
these cries, we have one agenda, one cross to bear. My main man E.T., when he go and he do motivational speaking, he say, what's your why? I'm telling you, what's the Father's why? What's the Father's why? I could care less about in the inhumane society's why. I see what your whys and your motives are. What's the Father's why? I'm showing you what the Father's why and what we execute right now. These cries, they end.
For everybody that's really sitting there thinking that this was some gang shit, it definitely was not. They are trying to kill us with our food. Somebody they're causing, all these diseases are man-made. I need y'all to understand that. All these diseases are man-made. Somebody with a platform is speaking on it to bring light to it. Y'all finally want to pay attention, and they killed this man. They killed this man. Y'all better wake up and realize that they are not playing. Like, I'm so emotional right now, but I need y'all to understand.
Bring y'all up to speed. Before I show y'all the solution, I gotta show y'all what's the why. What's the Father's why? What's the reasoning why we gotta do what we do? What's the reasoning why we say what we say? What's the reason why he has opened the doors for us to do what it is we're gonna do? And if you end up on the wrong side of this, we on offense right now. We on offense right now. And not in their picture that they paint, not in their story that they tell. Listen, we control the ball. We control the narrative. We control the images. We control everything. Listen, man. Their time is up. Silence. So y'all get to move now based off of sound, straight up unadulterated truth, or y'all want to continue to try and find y'all way in the confusion. That's what Babylon means. All Babylon's whole job was to do was come and cause confusion in every camp. And if you look at society today, it is people who are confused. That just tells you Babylon is winning. But why is Babylon winning? Babylon never wins when the people run the plays. Every time the people get away from the playbook, every time when the people ain't showing up for practice, every time when the people, and you know what's crazy? Do you know what's crazy? Satan himself and every institution Satan has ever set up, yo, they quote, everything comes out of here, yo. They quote it for their benefit, and then, because Babylon does what it does, which is so confusion, then on points where you want to try and use this because you're using it incorrectly. You're using it incorrectly. All it is mapping out. Yo, during this age, the people during this age is going to act like this, and they're going to be doing this, and they're going to be saying this, and they're going to be blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to respond. Revelation 2 and 3 is the history from 33 AD up until he cracked the sky. He laid out in 2 chapters. 2 chapters. He laid out the whole history in 7 different periods of Earth's history around 7 churches that was on that time. That's called the Havillah bar. That's called prophecy. And if you think the King of Kings, who is revealing himself, don't have the ability to reveal himself down through the ages to his children, when he had already revealed himself that, listen, I'm going to come and I'm going to crush the head of the snake through my child. You think he can't come back to his man on the Isle of Patmos and reveal, okay, y'all see I done kept my word up till now. Let me reveal what's going to happen from here on out. 2 chapters. Yet the same entities that was crushing the heads of the people and deceiving the people did, the same 2 entities that were deceiving the people, the same 2 entities that killed the King of Kings, the same 2 entities, been working together since the door. They worked together, they killed every apostle, worked together, created a fake, phony version of it, just like that's where King James got the idea. Yo, if they giving out the truth, the Geneva Convention Bible had all of these other apocryphal, the books that aren't in here. He originally tried to put the book of Enoch, the book of Doubting Thomas. He originally tried to put all of that in there. Why did he have to take? He had to take it out. Why? Because they had already been given the unadulterated. So it's not about the book. It's about the entities that King James created going forward, which were the Protestant churches. The Protestant denominations were what King James created, because Queen Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth I, who King James was under the umbrella of, her father, Henry Tudor, was the one, when Martin Luther and all of them was kicking the back end of Rome. Rome cut a deal with Henry Tudor to get out in front of the Protestant movement. He like, yo, all these little poor little monks and these dudes, whatever. If I have a king who is loyal to me, who I give the wink and the nod, go start the Protestant Anglican Church, which is the Church of England. Henry Tudor had a daughter, Queen Mary, then another daughter, Queen Elizabeth. His other son died. And then Queen Elizabeth, King James, who wrote the King James Bible, was Mary, Queen of Scots' son, who came to live in England and sit on the throne of England and carry out building the system. The stone that the builders rejected has become a capstone. So this system of Christianity through the Protestant line of King James, Henry Tudor, Elizabeth I, it's a direct extension to Roman Catholicism. And when you get bogged down in that's why the king came in Revelation 2 and 3 and told you, yo, at this period, he called this period between King James time and up until 1798, Church of Thyatira. And if you go to Revelation 3, he breaks down Church of Thyatira. It's he tell him it's involved with sorcery and the occult, and the woman Jezebel leads the people into sexual immorality. What? And then when you look up at the current state of these churches today, it is identical to what he said. Then he moved down to the final church, to the Church of Laodicea, right? I will spew you out of my mouth. That's right here, right now. Confusion, Babylon. So what's the solution? So on April the 21st, 2019, April the 21st, there was a system in place before when the Hebrews said, give us a king like all the other nations. There was a financial system in place. There was an annual playbook. So the team would check in at training camp in the beginning of the year. And the very first training camp, they was being prepared for the very first harvest. And they was given a playbook. And the very first harvest of the season happened April 21st. Now the fake system that they created, give us a king like all the other nations. So Rome and all of them, when they wrapped Roman Catholicism, they erased what Job was doing to be able to be acknowledged as Job was the greatest of the kings. He was the greatest of the kings of the East. So Rome ripped up that system along with their assistants. Y'all know who was assisting Rome. The Sanhedrin, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the so-called children of Abraham, assisted Rome the whole time in the whole operation. Before and after. After the disciples was killed, after they built the Roman Colosseums and fed the early movement to the lions and all of that, the same groups were in charge of feeding the people to the lions. So, would they be feeding their version of the gospel to lions, or are they feeding the real gospel to the lions so that they can build an alternative system? Y'all tell me what y'all think. And nobody has stopped to say, yo, what was the system that got fed to the lions, yo? What was the system? What was they doing?
Hello, Moto.
What did they do different? And what was they trying to hide? And what was they trying to keep from us? Glad y'all asked. Glad y'all asked. What the Hebrews gave up when they said, give us a king like all the other nations. So they stopped. They stopped back in David's time. After David was gone, they stopped with this system. So to regain your every home is a king and a queen, you got to go back to see, like, yo, prior to David, okay. So when you go back to that time, when they came to Samuel and said, give us a king, that's actually was when in Joshua's time. Joshua had just died. His sons were supposed to come to the throne. Joshua didn't place himself as king when Moses died. Joshua kept the same system. Same identical system. Moses didn't put himself as the king of the people because they already had a king who had delivered them. When he came to Abraham, the system was already in place. So he like, listen, man, you lost from the system. Go to a land that I will show you so you could get back to the system. Prior to Abraham is Job. Job is in the system. Prior to Job is Noah. Noah was in the system. So there is a system connected to individuals who follow the system to the T, being rewarded as those who the King of Kings will come and say, yo, you are the greatest in your generation. Yo, you are the greatest of the kings of the East. This is why he came and hollered at Noah. This is why he came and hollered at Enoch. This is why he came and hollered at Job. So that's the system. And from Job to Joshua, Joshua writes down a specific seasonal playbook for the children to follow that's attached to prosperity. And each and every home had a different set of talents that God was going to bless depending on the king and the queen. Whatever talents that the king and the queen had, they were magnified and blessed. And then that king and queen from that household blessed the nation with their talent. So then the next household that had an estate and had a king and a queen and prince and princesses, had a whole nother set of talents. So instead of chasing money, instead of being on a rat race, instead of running around here begging somebody to give you a job, every single person knew what their gift and what their talent was, and every day that they got up, they spent investing in their talent and developing skill around that talent to be able to harvest the blessing connected to that royal, sovereign, God-given estate, which is connected to the la-la land, the ground that they lived in, and the covenant binding them to their creator, their king. And each and every one of them, it says when the two become one, that he called that a sanctuary. When that king and that queen united and became one and became fruitful and multiplied, those three became one. He calls that a sanctuary. And in the sanctuary that he gave Moses and them, when he knew that the people was about to chase other gods, he laid it out in a physical form so that once they got lost, they would have a symbolic three-chambered sanctuary that would remind them of the husband, wife, child, three-chambered in one sanctuary that the home represented. And instead of being reminded of their covenant, they worshiped this building. They worshiped the symbol instead of being reminded that you are the sanctuary. Get back to doing what y'all doing and y'all be blessed. Nah, instead they let the individuals who was running the sanctuary, they saw, yo, it's money in us being looked at as the one person to go through, instead of each and every household being like, yo, I got a direct lane to the king. I just go over there to the sanctuary to symbolically demonstrate that I'm willing to follow the instructions that you gave us to be able to stay in the covenant. So I leave my own family to the king twice daily, but then we'll go down to the actual sanctuary and we'll bring our offerings to demonstrate publicly that we are connected in this system. But certain individuals wanted to prosper and capitalize off of the individuals. So then they introduce idolatry to the people. And then they make their positions of being priests and Levites and all that. Listen, that's all Rome did. All these cats is doing this profiting. That's what these mega pastors is doing. If you need a word from the Lord, serious, bruh? Y'all serious? And ain't nobody prosperous, because that ain't the system. So let me show y'all something. I'll call this capitalizing on dehumanization economically.
Are these people really human?
A female savage.
You said you'd make me famous, but all you ever really wanted was my body.
She is the haunted Havillah. And your very own Venus Hottentot, lifelike in every way.
Once again, it's no coincidence that they made a connection between the Zulu nation, and they tried to make a connection between the Zulu nation and hip-hop. Where is Hottentot Venus from? South Africa. That's a true story. In the United States of America, after slavery, 1897, 1902, they were having these human zoos. First one was in St. Louis State Fair, 1897. Chicago, Illinois, 1902. Chicago State Fair. But they would parade these people, our people. This is after slavery. Slavery ended in 1865. So-called. Hottentot Venus was just one individual out of thousands that they were still putting on ships and taking to London and Paris and all over Europe. Then when they come to the United States, St. Louis and Chicago, and human zoos. 1897, 1902, all of those Protestant denominations was in place. Every last one of them that you have here today. So what I'm trying to get y'all to understand is there's a difference between the narrative that's being put out here, that's being projected, and it's a difference between the actuals. You got to go by the actual stuff that's being put out here. All right? So, when people talk about financial literacy, when people talk about economic empowerment, you have to know that there is a reason that there are haves and have-nots. There are reasons, it's a reason why there is income inequality, meaning people that are uber rich, and before in the 90s, like before it used to be cool in the United States to have a vibrant middle class. Like I can remember with the dot-com boom of the 90s. Like it was cool. But all of a sudden, some reason, like has been a direct attack on like they go in and they argue against raising minimum wage. So, okay, people ain't gonna get it in the wages. Dot-com bubble burst, stock market burst. They create hyper bubbles in housing and all of this crazy mess and 401ks disappear and all of this 2008, 2009 financial crisis. And now middle class is gone. People lose their wealth in their houses. People was taking out all type of additional loans on their house and putting their kids through college. This is what people used to do. People who didn't have money to financially send their kids to college, they would take out a second mortgage on their crib and pay for their kids to go to college. But then when the financial crisis come around, these people who now this is basically starting all over again. Now you've started all over. You probably almost finished paying off your house, but because you have kids and you're not in an economic position to fund them to go to college. Listen, I know I went to Full Sail because my grandmother co-signed for me to go to Full Sail. I'm not talking about something I don't know what I'm talking about. My family didn't economically have the ability. My pops had to take out all type of student loans for him to go to school. And then he came to Full Sail on more loans. So then when the economy crashes, all of our families who are doing whatever we can to try and do the right thing. And so many families in the middle who now are working poor. But now they got this new thing out here called Bitcoin. They have these markets out here that regular everyday people know nothing about. But every time when we researched the financial crisis, because when we're an organization who had people in our organization, and we're about breaking cycles and all of that, but we got blindsided with the economic downturn. So when we started looking at the numbers, we understand, we like, yo, well, how did my man Warren Buffett dodge the bullet? How did Bill Gates, how did all these people dodge the bullet? Something that we don't know that apparently everybody else knows is there's these markets called the Forex market, the foreign currency exchange markets. And these smart individuals, because they've done their research and their homework and they got access to information and access to different things, they pick and choose emerging markets. Listen to me. Emerging market. An emerging market is a market that may be third world, but has potential to become second and first world with the aid of technology, with the aid of certain infrastructure. So in all of these financial crises, these people simply take their money and they move it into the Forex market, and then they can invest in the Chinese market. Because they can just convert their dollars into the the yuan. And so now so if the dollar takes a hit, they over here in China and they making money. And then they come back once the threat is over. But our people never ever had this type of information. So from 2009 to present day, we've been faithfully. We didn't even know a Bitcoin market was going to come out. But we've been faithfully taking the tangible content of assets, the portfolio of assets that we have. We have sports teams around the country, sports leagues around the country. We have drama clubs, we have choirs, we have hip hop art, we have recording artists that we've recorded. I'm showing you my main man in the studio with Nipsey right now. I've shot a video for his last album at Full Sail. Stick to the script. We got portfolio of assets, and then we have these phenomenal business people who from 2009, well, I really bumped into them in 2012, but who I started coming across individuals who come from these same cities who are conducting business in direct sales, which is what Nipsey kind of used that industry to model his clothing store after. Let me show you the clothing store. All right. So this clothing store is one of a kind. And because we faithfully invested in a group of people, we had an opportunity to duplicate the same identical concept. There is no store like this in the world. That's impressive. Man, where'd it go? There it is. First smart store in the world. First smart store in the world.
Nip could have taken his money and opened up a store anywhere.
Let me just say on behalf of the city of Los Angeles, this is the biggest grand opening of any business anywhere in Southern California today.
This is the biggest grand opening of any business in this is the biggest grand opening in South Central. E.T. the hip hop preacher. What's up, bruh? What's up, bruh? So, this is what's called an emerging market. An emerging market is a depressed market that may be third world, but has the potential, has all of the potential energy to become for first world revenue to come out of it with the proper investment and infrastructure. All right? So this is what he understood. And the direct sales model is what he used to bypass all of the traditional other avenues that he normally would have had to go through. And he went directly to his people, the customers that he had developed a following with. That is direct sales. Another individual that did this is E.T. E.T. created a following. That's all direct sales is, y'all. Direct sales is cutting out the middleman. They don't have to go to a distributor. Don't have to go to the direct sales is direct. Listen, I got a product or a service and you want to consume it. I sell it for this much. Do you want it? And in third world markets like our communities, if we take the mindset that they take when recessions come, and we look at our own communities as opportunities for investment, despite the fact that they done took this man out, if we let them get the victory by trying to hide the pot of gold that's here, our whole communities lose. Everybody loses.
This was always one of our dreams, was to be able to like come inside in this parking lot. We was always outside hustling in the actual lot, and we just out of just being here for so long realized that it would make sense to be owners or have businesses in this parking lot. It was an important intersection. There was a lot of commerce going on, and it made sense. Like, then if we can actually get in here, we'll be able to really elevate what we're trying to do. We saw what's going on Fairfax, what's going on Melrose and Soho and in Japan with their boutiques and just with the shopping experience in the stores and how it adds value to the actual brand. And so we wanted to do something like that in our own space though, and just tell our own story and reflect our own opinion on fashion.
We know that you are a rapper, and it doesn't stop just there. First and foremost, you are an entrepreneur. Right. Why is that important to you? To be a starving artist is uncomfortable, you know what I mean? So even before this, we was hustling so that we wouldn't be blindly chasing a dream with no tangible strategy,
Yeah, I was out here in the streets, you feel me? Like, getting in a lot of trouble. Dropped out of school, went to jail, gun cases, got gangbanged, you feel me? They gave me a job, put me on. Got my bro off my...
We call that break the cycle. We call that break the cycle. I don't have the right to come and try and guide you in a different direction unless I'm willing to put the positive alternative in your life. If I'm not willing to put the positive alternative in your life, I can't say nothing about what it is you're doing. Because you did not create the situation that you find yourself in. These neighborhoods did not just by osmosis get this way. So when these people are clawing and fighting and whatever for generation after generation, and nobody is coming to the rescue, when you have individuals that's like, yo, I'm not gonna starve, this society want to sit back and put labels. You were this, you were that. Nah, we just say, yo, we not putting no labels. We not nothing. We're going to come roll up our sleeves and we're going to give you another option. We're going to show you a list, an army of people who have come straight out of here and with the same option that we gave them have done this. And now we're going to say, yo, if you still on this block when we get back here, yo, that shows us what your mentality is. And whatever you get out of these streets, that's what you're going to earn. And we cool with that. But I'm not trying to have nobody that's seeking and fighting and clawing, trying to survive, that wants to go in another direction. We're not going to leave them hanging. And that's what this man doing.
Back. It's influencing people to do better, you feel me? Because homies, they've been on. They came from scratch right here. You feel me? They started off selling CDs on the curb. Now look at it, they got 3, 4, 5 businesses. You feel me? That's from hard work, dedication. You feel me? So that's what I'm into, you feel me?
It made me less pressure with the music.
All right, so let me show you what's smart about the story. This is what sets it apart. And let me tell you what's dope about this in connection to what I'm trying to do here at Full Sail. He was walking down the street. He was walking down the street and saw a young man sitting in front of a cafe on his computer. And he saw him waving his hand in front of the screen, and the screen was doing something and making movements with his hand gestures, and he identified Nipsey identified like, yo, that's new. So that's some new type of technology right there, because I ain't never even seen that. So because the dude, listen to me, this is an individual who has taken the time to invest in his talent. He has taken his time to develop a skill in the area, graphic arts, graphic design, media production, content production. This is a dude who was just, because he was investing in his skill and talent. And if any of my Full Sail students ever listen, this is the way you get on. This man walking by, seen the dude, and then so he scooped the dude up, put the dude on his team, and he gave the dude his vision of the store that he wanted to do. And with the technology that the dude had created on his computer, the dude was like, yo, you could stream content and you could make your thing a smart store. Nipsey had never even heard of a smart store, but because the dude knew about this content, and there's these students at this school are light years ahead of where the regular world is as far as technology is concerned. Always have been. So it's no reason why the students there is struggling, and it's no reason why y'all out here got content when we always put these two groups together to do this. Now watch what they created. It's never been done before. This store has never been done before. And what's crazy is, like 3 years ago, I hollered at ET when we did an event in 2015, and I was talking to E about doing a store. But now after seeing this, we could double back to every last one of them individuals who have teams and teams and teams. I'm talking about individuals who have whole downlines. We did a 90-day game plan with a specific company in the direct sales industry. And all of the top individuals in that company came and brought their teams for a night to encourage and inspire them to go to another level. But all of these individuals have products that they're selling. All of these individuals have books outside of the products that they're selling. One of the ladies, Lisa Nicole Cloud, has her own designer clothing line. All of these individuals have products after products after products, have organization after organization after organization. Now imagine when we double back with this type of technology and come to people in the direct sales industry and be like, yo, we got the ability to have y'all go directly to your team, directly to your whoever wants to consume your stuff. And when they make one purchase from you, they are forever, because of this technology, in your database, and you can stream directly to, listen, E, get with me, E. Any of y'all in direct sales, any of y'all got any products, I'm going to Full Sail, and we challenging Full Sail. Like, if these people out in LA got this talent, there's no way that my people in Orlando at Full Sail don't have this ability. And if they do, That means if you have videos, if you have music, if you have anything, you can go directly to whatever your database of people are, and you ain't got to pay Amazon a cut, you ain't got to pay eBay a cut, you ain't got to pay nobody a cut. And the more beautiful thing is, once they're in the database, you can always stream content to them. All they got to do is cop from you one time.
Every logo on the wall, there's a section where there's art on the wall. Every tag on each product is programmed with content. So there's content on the tags right now. And so once you make a purchase, you know, you take the product home. There's an app you download, the Marathon Store app, and you can put the actual phone to the tag and the clothes, and the content will stream. What that'll do is, let's say I got a song with a big artist, and instead of giving it to Apple Music or giving it to a streaming site to...
You can stream it exclusively in the store.
Yeah, I can attach it to a product and say you can get the song available 3 days before it come out officially if you come buy this t-shirt. It's streaming off the tag. And so after that campaign is over, a year later, I can say, hey, anybody that bought the red Crenshaw baseball V-neck, check your tag. It could be in your dirty clothes from you bought it a year ago. Like I said, I just uploaded a new piece of content to this shirt. And because you bought it, you get it first. It'll come out 3 days later on all the traditional platforms. But as a reciprocation for the support, you get the content first. So I think that's unique. You got a whole wall on that side. It's just
absolute genius. Absolute genius, yo. That's what's in our communities. This is what's in our communities, yo. They gotta put that other image out. Listen, they recruiting them other dudes by the hordes just so that the masses in our communities don't know that we could do this. I'm telling y'all, this is what's in our community, yo. They hooked you up? Did you get glasses?
Door all open.
I know. I saw your photo.
Oh, I'm like, all right, but yeah, they're just not
They wasn't
ready
there.
Right now.
They was okay.
They got to do all this stuff to it, so they're gonna be ready on the 3rd.
So I'm gonna tell y'all something about this whole Bitcoin ICO thing, right?
Yeah, they always talk about
So
hip hop. There's very few.
So yesterday I was telling y'all that they asked this man several questions, right? But I'm gonna highlight the question that they asked him about. He owned a Bitcoin company. All right. I'm just let y'all know, like, this is what's happening, and in these other communities it's happening. Then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna show you the model, which the campaign that we launching here up till June the 10th. Y'all got y'all opportunity up to June the 10th. The ICO closes and we move forward. We're going to recruit the people who going to do the programming and the IT back end portion of the blockchain joint to launch the ICO that I'm going to tell y'all about. All right. Basically what you are listening to is one of the greatest economic investments that you're going to see over the next 14 to 31 years. This is what our business plan for this ICO covers. 2 phases, 2 different demographics. 14 years, we got a certain amount of millionaires that we trying to launch. We tired of our people coming and saying, yo, I'm the first person in my family to ever go to college. No, we want to have thousands of people who say I'm the first person in my family to ever make $1 million. Thousands. First person in my family to ever see $1 million. Because a promise that we got is a good man leaveth wealth to his children's children. And if we're not seeing that, if we aren't seeing that, then somebody is executing the wrong system. So I'm just letting you know that we're not the only ones in our community doing this. This man is on a whole nother coast, and he saw what we saw. We saw this back in 2009, started working after the first recession hit we lost all of them kids, and we said, listen, we will never be out here not economically empowering the parents, the grandparents, the aunties, the cousins, and anybody who has invested in the development of this child that has the talent that we are displaying in our leagues. That is what these other companies and entities do. They come and they take the talent out of the neighborhood. They don't hey, y'all too loud, man. They don't educate them and empower them economically. So there's a vacuum of talent that leaves the neighborhood and no resources come back. And then they got to struggle to try and figure out how to buy grandmama a house, take care of 30, 40 other family members, and they have never been given economic empowerment, and then they end up broke. Vicious cycle. It ends in this generation.
It was a great situation, you know what I mean? And we see what happened with all the artists over there, everybody blocked. Starting a record label and putting all that money into that, whatever. But you know, if it's in your heart, yeah, you know.
Coming from the neighborhoods that we come from in LA, like I feel like I notice I see Ross do it with his buyback. You know what I'm saying? I don't see a lot of that shit happening in LA as far as like people really investing in real estate, especially in their own area. They usually like they go out and buy some shit over. Do you feel like more people should step up and do that, or do you feel like what you're doing is like something that you on an island by yourself?
I mean, people got to do it in their heart. You know, they shouldn't just do it because Nip did it or because Ross did it. If it's in your heart, if that's something that makes sense, if it's part of your big picture plan, you should do that. That's part of our plan.
Yeah.
To buy real estate and buy an income property. You feel what I'm saying? Take money out of music and put it into property and real estate. You know? But that might not be for everybody. Somebody
take money out of music and put it in property and real estate. So what I'm gonna tell y'all about the Bitcoin ICO. It's designed, and this is how the wealthy are using it. All right. They play around, they build up the Bitcoin, they build up the Bitcoin, they build up the Bitcoin, and then they move some of it to the Forex. They make money in Forex. Then they move some of it to gold. Then they move some of it to silver. Then they move some of it to the stock market. Then they move some of it to real estate. Then they play in the Bitcoin or Ethereum, and they play, and they build up, and then they move some of it to real estate. They move some of it into their media production companies. Then when financial crisis comes, say financial crisis coming back to the stock market, then all of the stuff all of the holdings that they had in the stock market, they'll move it to their Bitcoin account. So when everybody else's 401ks take a hit, boom, their money was over here in the Bitcoin. And then they moved it to the Forex and they made money. Then when the housing bubble burst, and then all of the homes come cheap again, then they move it back out of Forex and back out of gold and silver and the Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then they move it into the real estate. And then they buy up all of the real estate. And then when the stock market say, okay, we made the adjustments and we trimmed the fat, we ready, then they put their money back in the stock market. The only people not in the game is the people who have been enduring for century after century. And it's high time for the people who tired to say, I'm tired. It's high time for the people who've been doing the same thing over and over and getting the same result to say, I want a different result. What's different? All I'm doing is showing you, yo, your people are doing different, getting different, breaking cycles, going in the right direction, leaving legacies. Your people are doing it. Why aren't you? You afraid? Because you trained? Because you too broken down? I suggest your chill. Listen, without going in a different direction, that 7-year-old that just walked up the steps, he don't have a chance in the world of tomorrow. If we don't do this now, he will be gobbled up. The young person of tomorrow, they came out with a document about the millennials, the financial situation of the millennials. They said, when I say they, I'm talking about Goldman Sachs. They said the millennial generation of today will be the first generation ever in history that will be worse off than their parents and their grandparents. How worse off, though, is the question. If the same bankers who were at the table during the financial crash have said that your children will be worse off and you can't make ends meet, worse off? Can it get worse? Not for my peoples. And they saying then this generation will be worse off. Yo, listen, that means worse than the Great Depression. That means worse than the Great Depression. Listen, if you sit back and don't make no adjustment between now and when that happens,
That might be
vibe like in the studio.
That's like,
you gotta.
That's energy. It's like really high energy.
man, I don't know where it's at, yo.
A collection, apparel collection, and also a shoe collection.
Anyway, they asked him, they said, yo, who heard you invested in a Bitcoin company? He said, what do you think about it taking a hit? He said, I think it's going to bounce back. He said, I think the powers that be intended for it to take a hit. So in 2017, it took a hit. He said, but I'm still confident. I am still confident that it's going to be a good bet. And sure enough, the hit that it took in 2017, when I looked at Bitcoin yesterday, it was $2,700 to $1 US. And now let me show you the system that we launching over the next, I think it's 21 days. Show you the system that we launching. All right. So there was a little 15-year-old that they took and they mentored him through the process when Bitcoin was at $12. You heard me. He was at $12. They mentored him, gave him $2,000. All right, they put $2,000 into his life. Then got a financial advisor to hold his hand and mentor him and educate him on a new talent and skill in financial services market. This is what they do in their communities. What's stopping us from doing it in our communities? Nothing. That's why we're doing it. Once again, I told you, this young man was introduced to it when it was at $12. Now, Bitcoin is worth $2,700 each one. So if he took $2,000, you divide 12 over $2,000. That's a lot of Bitcoins. 2,000 divided by 12. Let's say $10. 2,000 divided by 10. That's 200 Bitcoin. So now you take 200 and multiply it by $2,700. What's up, baby? Man, where the little dude at? Channel. Here, let me show you. And this is a lady out of Atlanta doing the same thing in Atlanta in our communities. So we just said that the thing about Bitcoin, though, for it to work, you got to have people who are actually buying stuff. So most people launch a coin and then go out and try and build the network to be able to exchange coins and create value to exchange the coins on, right? But we've done it the opposite. We've already built a network where we're exchanging goods. We got people who are about to create content for us. We have individuals in leagues. And each one of the leagues, even in our 3-on-3 competitions, we have a dollar prize that they win. $1,500 for first place winners, $1,000 for second place, $500 for third place. Like, we got exchanges going on everywhere. Clothing stores up, t-shirts, hats, all of that. We're doing events. Every 90 days we do an event. So we already have an exchange. So all we're doing is adding and saying, yo, instead of only taking dollars at all of the places where we're exchanging, we're creating a platform where our people can exchange our Havillah bills and our Havillah coins, just like Bitcoin. I got another company out that got cash gold. Cash with little grams of gold in it. Understand? So here's a lady in Atlanta using the whole concept of Bitcoin to educate, to do financial services and economic empowerment in Atlanta.
In my community.
Mother of 8 children. Mother of 8.
Welcome back
back to your favorite show on Go 90. It is Complex Live. Now, the cryptocurrency craze has certainly consumed the complex office. Nadeska, I know you and I both have some Bitcoin.
And some Ether, which you still haven't cut.
I'm super down. My $100 investment is down to about $60.
All right, so look, we are definitely into our cryptocurrencies over here. And now one Atlanta mother of 8 is trying to boost the economy within minority communities by launching her own cryptocurrency while educating teenagers on their use. Pretty cool. Check it out.
2017 was definitely the year of Bitcoin frenzy. You can clearly see the greed that's here right now in cryptocurrency and how it affects and manipulates the emotions of people. Let Bitcoin go up very high, the greed hits again, everybody's interested, everybody wants to buy. Let it fall, they're like, oh my God, it's gonna crash. You know, it's just a up and down of emotion, and they don't see the real potential, and they don't see where this is really going. I've been in technology for almost 20 years. I was dabbling into alternative currencies, and especially the possibility of having an alternative currency in my community. My family used to own a large amount of land in Wilmington, and I've heard stories of owning the beaches and stuff like that, but because of gentrification, that dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. So now I go back to Wilmington and I see no trace of my family. That is very disheartening to me. In the Black community, the dollar stays about 6 hours, but in the next community that was polled was the Jewish community, and I believe it's 21 days. And yeah, so 6 hours between 21 days is a wide gap. I talk to a lot of elders, and they'll talk about different communities that had Black-owned businesses. They were lawyers, they were doctors, and professional communities that were either intimidated or destroyed. It's like, you know, America's dirty little secret. It may be a narrative that we can't build up a professional community, or we can't maintain a community, and that may be something that's stuck in the back of the minds of young people as well, of us not being able to do that. So we have to break that. I'm now very, very serious about legacies, and that's very, very important, especially for the self-esteem and value of young people in the community. Killer Mike came out with the whole Bank Black movement and got a large amount of people to switch over their bank accounts to a Black-owned bank, which was like wonderful. And I realized that now is like the time where this message of buying Black and supporting Black-owned businesses is now actually sticking. And me, being in technology, I see technology as the vehicle to be able to accomplish almost anything. So automatically, I'm saying cryptocurrency, I'm like, oh, so I'm going back to my old thoughts of this currency, of how this would be so great in our community. Blockpoint is a social experiment. We're trying to build a data platform that's going to not only track, but also show the numbers of what we're doing, how we're spending this money, how we're supporting our merchants within the community. And we can leverage those numbers for our benefit, because we spend trillions of dollars, but a very small portion of that actually goes back into the community. We want to reward people for making purchases and supporting Black-owned businesses, similar to cashback programs. Whatever revenues we can bring in, you know, we want that to be a way to reward the merchant for participating, and then also reward the customers for supporting the merchants. If we can keep the money circulating in the community, then we can build our community, we can strengthen our community, and have something, you know, for our generations to come. We got to talk about that homework assignment. Did you tell your teacher about the homework assignment? I'm a mompreneur. Running my children is like running one of my businesses. Guess what we getting ready to have, y'all? What? Pizza! My kids are certainly going to follow in my footsteps. It just intrigues them, this whole concept of finances, and I've constantly told them about it. I'm like, oh, this is guap, this is what we're doing. For $1, you actually get 300 guap. What are you going to do with the guap? It's very important to educate young people on cryptocurrency, because it is the equivalent of giving them the keys to the world. What's going on with cryptocurrency and blockchain, this is the new internet. We don't want any children to be left out. This is their playground. They're going to be the ones that are going to come up with new solutions and make this even better. And for me, helping urban kids get more access to it is very important, because you know, I'm looking at these kids out here, you know, you got kids working at McDonald's, you got kids working here, they could get on the computer, and I tell them, as long as you have a computer you have a tool to make a lot of money. If you only knew the avenue by way you can create anything, it's there, it's in your hands. So, it's very, very, very important to me that the young people get this, because this is it. This is the keys. They're going to create a whole new financial system. I'm trying to feed it into them so that they see that this is a reality and you can create things. And the thing that you create might be the next big thing.
All right. So as you can see, there are many, many companies, but this is one of the very few companies from our community, servicing our community. Mother of 8. You talk about grinding. And so just so y'all know, there's 4 different components to. You have customers. When you have a separate currency, all right, you have the customers, then you have businesses who can come into the market. So we create a market, we create the currency, then we make it accessible to the businesses and the consumers. So this window between now and June the 10th is the window of opportunity for people to reach out, get the white paper that describes what it is, describes the background, describes the history, describes what we've done in the network, why we created the token, what in the blockchain is connected to, the Ethereum coin, all of that information. And then you determine, I'll need $200 worth, I need $500 worth, I need $1,000, whatever amount you see, because just like in Bitcoin started at $12. It started below $12. You could buy, I think you could, for $1 you could buy like something like 500 Bitcoin at first, when it first came out. Then it went up and surpassed $1. So when the young guy was given his $2,000 and was trained on how to get into and learn a skill around the cryptocurrency market, why? Because this is the next generation of financial services. If you're not educating your children of tomorrow about these type of financial services, it's a disservice. So what we gonna do? We've selected 1,600 young individuals that we're gonna take, and we're gonna put the $2,000 into their life. We're gonna take the businesses that's already launching into the marketplace, and we're going to get them a sponsored business mentor to show them and train them the skill of this market. And then these 1,600, we're bringing them down here to Florida. We're going to do a very special camp, a skills and drills sports camp that we always do, and now this financial services and inspirational economic empowerment on top of that. And then we're going to take these 1,600 individuals across the country to our different spots. In the second half of the summer, we're going to do a week in Huntsville, Alabama. We're going to do a week in Chicago, Illinois. We're going to do a week in Trent, New Jersey, Philly, New York area. We're going to do a week finally in California, ending up that first week of August. We're going to do 4 weeks down here. We're going to train them, intensive training, and then we're going to use these individuals to be the conductors, the trained conductors, when we actually launch the actual cryptocurrency to the public, where anybody can get into this network. Anybody can purchase it, just like anybody can purchase any of the different cryptocurrencies. The only thing about ours is these individuals are trying to build a network of exchange They're creating their coins first. We did the opposite. We created a network of exchange already. We've been doing these programs, these curriculums. Listen, they have people who trying to launch music companies and record labels where their artists can sell their albums, and like Nipsey, you could purchase their CDs with the cryptocurrency. Well, I come from an institution. My son go to an institution where the choir just one choir in the world. The number one choir in the world. We went to a high school where our performing arts, our skits and plays, we take them around the country and we let other young individuals be the actors. My main man E.T. launched $1 million motivation and inspirational brand. I'm wearing the shirt right now. The name Break the Cycle turned into this. E.T. the hip hop preacher. E.T. inspires. E.T. inspires what? E.T. inspires the NCAA. E.T. inspires the NFL. E.T. inspires the NBA. We took acting and drama and we take current issues that the children are going through, and then we have real people who want to break those cycles come and we act out the great controversy that's going on. And always at the end, our skits and our plays tell the story that you can do what we do if you approach and you respond to these situations in this type of way. That's what our skits and plays do. That's why we have to create a whole nother studio to tell our story, because they'll never get this story from Hollywood. They'll never get E.T. You'll never get this. Oh, E on the other channel. I'm going to show y'all E.T. and I'm going to let y'all go. For me, this was a long-term investment.
Thought that was enough? I got it. So you thought because he was willing to walk out into the deep of the ocean that was enough? Because the guru placed his head under the water, pulled it out, and taught him that the secret to success is winning as bad as you want to breathe. So you thought that was the end of the story?
Secret to success. Yo, E, this is one of my favorites of all time. It's one of my favorites of all time, E, if you still on here.
You thought that one single event, that one single moment was enough for him to stand amongst the greats.
Watch what he
to make his dream become a reality.
Watch what he's telling you. This multi-million-dollar content. This is a multi-million-dollar brand right here,
yo. You thought wrong. In fact, it's far from over. That was the easy part. Now it's time.
That was launched in the projects.
Find the grind
of Huntsville, Alabama. Projects.
Well, you thought it was over.
You thought it was over. We just getting started.
See, this is the part.
This is the part.
This is the part where life demands.
This is the part.
You make a lifelong commitment.
You make a lifelong commitment.
Where life demands that you make a vow.
Y'all want to break the cycle? This is what it takes.
Water that you're willing to pay the price.
You willing to pay this price?
Where you earn your spot.
This is how you get success.
With sweat.
What?
With blood. With tears.
This is why our people still in bondage, because they ain't willing to do that. In whatever obstacle they got.
So you say you want it as bad as you want to breathe.
You say you want it.
Then it's showtime.
Showtime.
It's examination time.
It's examination time.
To get tested, to test your will, your endurance. It's time to test your heart.
It's time to test your heart.
Your limit.
Your limit.
This is the part where you reinvent yourself.
Reinvent yourself. Transformation. Break the cycle. Transformation. Not settling. Poverty, never. Crime, violence, not mine.
Sleep.
Drugs on my block, nah.
It goes deeper than going without sleep.
What?
Because you might miss the opportunity to succeed.
You might miss the
No,
opportunity.
it's about no days
No
off.
days
no
off.
Weekends.
No
holidays. No birthdays. Listen to me.
No weekends.
Days off.
None.
No half days. No holidays. No snow days. It's about gaining the competitive edge. It's about separation.
Separation.
It's about separating yourself from the past, the competition. It's about being a little faster.
A little faster.
Stronger.
A little stronger.
Be a little faster than you were last year, last month, last week. In fact, you gotta be a little faster today than you were yesterday.
Faster today than you was yesterday.
On the road to success, you can't afford to make excuses.
You can't afford.
Excuses.
No excuses.
You will pay, and trust me, you will feel it.
You will feel it. Our people don't want to. We scared to feel pain.
Beyond exhaustion.
Beyond exhaustion.
Worn out. And when it's harder than you imagine it would be.
Yo, you didn't eat.
You thought it would take. And when the load is heavier than you thought you could bear.
When the load is heavy.
All you want to do is give up.
All you want to do is give up. All you want to do is give in. Giving all you got.
You gotta take one more step.
Take one more step.
You gotta run one more lap.
Run one more lap.
You gotta throw one more punch. You gotta fight back.
What?
You gotta fight a little harder.
Run another step.
Defeat disappointment.
Defeat disappointment. Annihilate weakness.
The competition.
Punish the competition. Annihilate
It's about
weakness.
pushing yourself
Beyond.
It's about perfecting the you, not just doing more, not just being better, but
Tired? We ain't physically tired.
Listen to me.
We tired of poverty. We ain't physically tired. We tired of our children getting gunned down. Tired? Climb every mountain. Defy every obstacle.
One step at a time.
One step at a time. One day at a time. Backwards. Whatever. If it takes backwards, give them backwards. Until you reach the top. Until you reach the top. What's the top? Well, my sons and daughters can go wherever they want. What's the top? What's your top? Are you at your top? If you're not at your top, then this is the grind that it takes. What's the top for your family? I know you ain't seeing it because I ain't seeing it. When I see my peoples go from eating out of trash cans to multi-million dollar brands, it's not a fluke. And if I don't see my whole community eating like this, it's a problem. Especially when I'm seeing images depicting my community in a certain type of way when I know this is what we put up. When I see depictions of us, when I hear people get in the media and talk about us, it is simply programming. It's the programming of society to make sure that a caste society, think about a cast. When you break your arm, they put a cast on your arm so it doesn't move. A caste society is every demographic is locked into place and will not move. That's what a caste society is. And the programming that goes on, I'm trying to tell y'all, I gave y'all a disclaimer earlier. I am not talking about any group of people. I am talking about a system. But people who contribute to that system are against you and not for you. And if your psyche and your thinking, because you've bought into myths and rituals and traditions, are contributing to us collectively being in bondage, then you are a part of the problem. And I need you to change your damn perspective and get out of the way. So we launching an ICO, cryptocurrency. We're going to take 1,600 individuals. We're going to put $2,000 in the life of all of them. Because this is what they're doing in other communities. And then we're launching a cryptocurrency coin that we control ourselves into a market and a network that we've developed and nurtured ourselves, multimillionaires. We've poured into the life. We've poured into the lives of these people all our lives. And we simply coming back and saying, listen, man, I got a group of 1,600. Yo, E, yo, Thomas, yo, so-and-so, yo, so-and-so, yo, so-and-so, yo, Lorraine, yo. Can you come back and give them the blueprint? Can you mentor this person through this camp while we put them in this simulator account? And then once they develop the talent and the confidence and the skill, then we say, yo, everything you learned in this simulation, go out and do it in the real world. But before you ride off into the sunset, go grab 8 people like we just grabbed you. Go get 8 people. You ain't got to get them. You just got to show up daily on this schedule, plug in. We're going to have you mentor 8 other people. Proud to pay it back. That's it. It's an ascension program. From the crib to the coronation. Each and every household is a kingdom within itself. A sanctuary. And we putting the system back in place that was removed when the people said, give us a king like all the other nations. When you get back to that spot, every husband and every wife is the king. The husband is the king of the pride. The wife is the lioness of the pride. He said when the two become one, listen, every pride has its own pride land. Has its own set of access to resources within its pride land. Harvests spring up 3 times a year throughout the pride land. In each sanctuary that's carved out and on the right business model. All we got to do is get back to the business model. And we taking 1,600 young people that Goldman Sachs said are going to be worst off. We purposely selected individuals between the ages of 21 and 34 because Goldman Sachs said they will be worse off. So we're going to take 1,600 and do for them what Goldman Sachs wasn't willing to do. And the money comes from the other individuals who want to have access to this network. The other individuals who invest in this cryptocurrency, just like other people are investing in all these other cryptocurrencies, they just don't have no network. They just don't have no track record of breaking cycles. They just don't have no track record of launching $1 million businesses. They just don't have no track record of developing business plans and putting businesses with skilled individuals and creating talent. They just don't have no track record of athletes. Did you see E.T. inspiring an athlete? Do you know that all of my life, that's all we've done is play football and basketball on the highest levels? We got Super Bowl winning individuals. Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl winning. Cousin played for West Virginia Mountaineers. Strong safety, Sean Hack. Listen, man, who's who? Listen, in our community, in our family, in our crew. So when I say we doing skills and drills camp, we inviting the next generation of our family members to come out. And then instead of just throwing their talent away and becoming another statistic that, those who lead the league are broke and bankrupt, be the first generation to ever get inspired and economically empowered and taught financial services along with their skills and talents to be able to stand up to any industry. Nike, and you can't hand me a bogus contract when I've been doing financial services and economic empowerment since I was in the 9th grade. Now when you go and you look at a contract with Puma or Adidas or Nike or the NFL or the NBA, or for that matter, an NCAA institution, they have double standards for the rich and the wealthy. Y'all saw the dude that went to Texas A&M. The rich white boy quarterback that went to Texas A&M. I forget his name. He ended up going to the Cleveland Browns. His dad was rich and wealthy. So when he was in college, he was the Heisman Trophy winner. So he running around signing autographs. They paying him to show up at paid event. Pay it? You paid him? When our people go to the NCAA, go to college, they had Jameis Winston stealing a pack of meat in the store. It's the Heisman Trophy winner too. But that's how they do you when you don't have no money. Oh, but because he came from wealth, the NCAA rules don't apply. He can get money because he's been getting money all his life. So our rules don't apply to him. It's just y'all who broke and destitute. Okay, well, we've been getting money all our life too. We've been in the Father's Wish program that has economically empowered us. So your rules don't apply to us either. So either you pay us what we worth, or we'll go over here and play in the professional league that they done launched with the aid of the broadcasting up at Full Sail University. So this ICO launch is the launch of several things. We're taking the funds to train the next generation of financial service professionals. We also launching the Hollywood Studios Network to broadcast all of the activities over the summer. So when you invest in this currency, we also selected 1,600 adults to get this information. So that's 1,600 young people between the ages of 21 and 34. Then we taking 1,600 adults. Then we're going to break down and take 80 couples. 80 couples. 40 singles that's in relationships that want to go to the next level, and 40 married couples. And we're giving them the same access to the financial service, economic empowerment that these 1,600 young people, 1,600 adults, 35 and up, these 80 couples, and then January 1st, 2020, we're going to select 800 brand new newborns and 800 of our young people from the ages of 1 up into 19, up into 20. So in January, we're going to put the bottom 4 sets of 16. 4 sets of 16. All of the bases is covered. 4 Winds of Strife covered. 4 Winds of Strife covered. So, we're going to make available how y'all could get access and get your hands on the Havillah bills and the Havillah coins. Alright? Then when we launch the ICO, what that means is We launched the market. We launched the wallet that the coins go into. We launched the blockchain technology that moves it through the different banks and all of that into the wallets, and everything goes live. All right? So it's a period of 21 days where the money comes in. Everybody who wants, I want 100 Havillah coins. I want 50 Havillah coins. I want whatever. It costs this much for however much you ordering. We only going to release a certain amount. It's a limited amount. And the price during the ICO phase is nothing like after it launches. That's what the importance of the 21 days is. Like Bitcoin was at $12 when the little boy invested in it. But then when it launched and went crazy, it went up to 500. It went up to 1,000. Then most people couldn't even think about it. But you could buy it in chunks. You don't got to buy a whole Bitcoin. But, you know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen because people are exchanging the currency. So what we're doing is we're giving our people access because we're investing in our market. We're giving our people the ability to profit off of us investing in our own communities. Where else is it happening at? Nipsey was doing it. The lady in Atlanta doing it. Ain't nothing stopping us from doing it. All right? So, let's go. Peace.